Islam, peace and love to the ancestors. Wayne Bright Bay here. Just wanted to get on get on live, I guess, or not live, but make a recording. Part of my day. I went to the pharmacy today. Got a few items. Let's zoom in on this here. About 4 items, right? And they gave me a receipt that's just absolutely unbelievable. Just for 4 items. You see this? All this here. Look, 4 items on there. Can you see it? Let's just get real close here, okay?
See it up close.
I said this is absolutely ridiculous. I'm a tree man, green guy. You know, we shouldn't be cutting down these trees in our ancestral estate. Come on, that's just really. So, is it fair to say that this is just this is too much? You see? Is that a 4 foot? That's a 4 foot child right there, right? That's more than a 4 foot child right there. You know, so now if every customer is getting a receipt this long, that's too much paper. Bottom line, too much paper, and I'm not wrestling with that. So what I'm going to do is, I said what I can do is what I can do my part. What I'll do is I'll just say, "Wake up, America," or something like this, right? You know, I don't know. So I'll do my part. I have some postings on Facebook. I got sometimes just a little busy, but I will do a reading that will. Maybe from time to time, something. See how this goes, and we'll see how this works out. I will do the reading. Let me cut the light out, right? And then okay, there we go. And we will do the reading. And the reading that I'm going to be doing today is from James TRAFICANT'S United States bankruptcy speech, right? So if you can, Rams, could you just focus on the screen, right?
Sure.
And then, right, make sure you touch the screen so it's clear so everybody can see it, right? Are you focused there in the middle there? Can you see it good?
Yeah, I can see it.
Fantastic, fantastic. Okay, guys, I hope you can hear me, you know, and I will begin, right? Here we go. Wish me luck. Okay, here we go. We are reading the James TRAFICANT United States bankruptcy speech. The Bankruptcy of the United States Congressional Record, March 17, 1993, Volume 33, page H 1303. Speaker, Republican Representative James TRAFICANT Jr., Ohio, addressing the House. Mr. Speaker, we are here now in Chapter 11, members of Congress and our official trustees presiding over the greatest reorganization of any bankrupt entity in world history, the United States government. We are setting forth, hopefully, a blueprint for our future. There are some who say it is a coroner's report that will lead to our demise. It is an established fact that the United States federal government has been dissolved by the Emergency Banking Act, March 9th, 1933, 48 Stat 1, Public Law 89719, declared by President Roosevelt, being bankrupt and insolvent. House Joint Resolution 192, 73rd Congress, M Session, June 5th, 1933. Joint Resolution to suspend the gold standard and abrogate the gold clause, dissolve the sovereign authority of the United States and the official capacity of all United States governmental officers, and departments, and is further evidence that the United States federal government exists today in name only. The receivers of the United States bankrupt are the international bankers via the United Nations, the World Bank, and the International Monetary Fund. All United States officers, officials, and departments are now operating within a de facto status in name only under emergency war powers. With the constitutional Republican form of government now dissolved, the receivers of the bankruptcy have adopted a new form of government for the United States. This new form of government, known as democracy, being an established socialist communist order under a new governor for America. This act was instituted and established by transferring and or placing the office of the Secretary of Treasury to that of the Governor of the International Monetary Fund. Public Law 94564, page 8, section H.R. 13955 reads in part, the U.S. Secretary of Treasury receives no compensation for representing the United States. Gold and silver were such a powerful money during the founding of the United States of America that the founding fathers declared that only gold or silver coins can be money in America. Since gold and silver coinage were heavy and inconvenient for a lot of transactions, they were stored in banks and a claim check was issued as a money substitute. People traded their coupons as money or currency. Currency is not money, but a money substitute. Redeemable currency must promise to pay a dollar equivalent in gold or silver money. Federal Reserve notes make no such promises and are not money. A Federal Reserve note is a debt obligation for federal United States government, not money. The federal United States government and the U.S. Congress were not and have never been authorized by the Constitution for the United States of America to issue currency of any kind, but only lawful money, gold and silver coin. It is essential that we comprehend this distinction between real money and paper money substitute. We cannot get rich by accumulating money substitutes. One can only get deeper in debt. We the people no longer have any money. Most Americans have not been paid any money for a very long time, perhaps not in their entire life. Now, do you comprehend why you feel broke? Now, do you understand why you are bankrupt, along with the rest of the country? Federal Reserve notes are unsigned checks written on a closed account. Federal Reserve notes are an inflatable paper system designed to create debt through inflation, devaluation of currency. Whenever there is an increase of the supply of a money substitute in the economy without a corresponding increase in gold and silver backing, inflation occurs. Inflation is an invisible form of taxation that irresponsible governments inflict on their citizens. The Federal Reserve Bank, who controls the supply and movement of Federal Reserves notes, has everybody fooled. They have access to an unlimited supply of Federal Reserve notes, paying only for the printing cost of what they need. Federal Reserve notes are nothing more than promissory notes for the U.S. Treasury securities, T-bills, a promise to pay the debt to the Federal Reserve Bank. There is a fundamental difference between paying and discharging a debt. To pay a debt, you must pay with value or substance, i.e. gold, silver, barter, or a commodity. With Federal Reserve notes, you can only discharge a debt. You cannot pay a debt with a debt currency system. You cannot service a debt with a currency that has no backing in value or substance. No contract in common law is valid unless it involves an exchange of good and valuable consideration. Unpayable debt transfers power and control to the sovereign power structure that has no interest in money, law, equity, or justice because they have so much wealth already. Their lust for power and control since the inception of central banking. They have controlled the fates of nations. The Federal Reserve System is based on canon law and the principles of sovereignty protected in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. In fact, the international bankers used the canon law trust as their model, adding stock and naming it a joint stock trust. The U.S. Congress had passed a law making it illegal for any legal person to duplicate a joint stock trust in 1873. The Federal Reserve Act was legislated post facto to 1870, although post facto laws are strictly forbidden by the Constitution. The Federal Reserve System is a sovereign power structure separate and distinct from the federal United States government. The Federal Reserve is a maritime lender and or maritime insurance underwriter to the federal United States, operating exclusively under Admiralty maritime law. The lender or underwriter bears the risks, and the maritime law compelling specific performance in paying the interest or premiums are the same. Assets of the debtor can also be hypothecated to pledge something as a security without taking possession of it, as security by the lender or underwriter. The Federal Reserve Act stipulated that the interest on the debt was to be paid in gold. There was no stipulation in the Federal Reserve Act for paying the principal. Prior to 1913, most Americans owned clear allodial title to property, free and clear of any liens or mortgages until the Federal Reserve Act of 1913 hypothecated all property within the federal United States to the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve, in which the trustees, stockholders, held legal title. The U.S. citizen, tenant, franchisee was registered as a beneficiary of the trust via his or her birth certificate. In 1933, the Federal United States hypothecated all of the present and future properties, assets, and labor of their subjects, the 14th Amendment U.S. citizen, to the Federal Reserve System. In return, the Federal Reserve System agreed to extend the Federal United States Corporation all the credit money substitute it needed. Like any other debtor, the Federal United States government had to assign collateral and security to their creditors as a condition of the loan. Since the Federal United States didn't have any assets, they assigned the private property of their economic slaves, the U.S. citizens, as collateral against the unpayable federal debt. They also pledged the unincorporated federal territories, national park forests, birth certificates, and non-profit organizations as collateral against the federal debt. All has already been transferred as payment to the international bankers. Unwittingly, America has returned to its pre-American Revolution feudal roots, whereby all land is held by a sovereign, and the common people had no right to hold allodial title to property. Once again, we the people are the tenants and sharecroppers renting our own property from a sovereign in the guise of the Federal Reserve Bank. We the people have exchanged one master for another. This has been going on for over 80 years without the informed knowledge of the American people, without a voice protesting loud enough. Now it's easy to grasp why America is fundamentally bankrupt. Why don't more people own their properties outright? Why are 90% of Americans mortgaged to the hilt and have little or no assets after all debts and liabilities have been paid? Why does it feel like you are working harder and harder and getting less and less? We are reaping what has been sown, and the results of our harvest is a painful bankruptcy and a foreclosure on American property, precious liberties, and a way of life. Few of our elected representatives in Washington, D.C. have dared to tell the truth. The Federal United States is bankrupt. Our children will inherit this unpayable debt and the tyranny to enforce paying it. America has become completely bankrupt in world leadership, financial credit, and its reputation for courage, vision, and human rights. This is an undeclared economic war, bankruptcy, and economic slavery of the most corrupt order. Wake up, America. Take back your country. Okay, there you go. That was James TRAFICANT'S United States bankruptcy speech. I hope that this benefited you and me. I love reading that his speech there on March 17th, 1993. Peace and love, family. I love you.